The Sports Renegades podcast on SportsTownChicago.com. Welcome back to the Sports Renegades here on SportsTownChicago.com. I'm Ryan Stuprich.
And I'm Ryan Risky.
Still a thriller here between Little Rock and Purdue. Little Rock is up 81-77. Purdue just made a free throw, so it's a one-possession game right now. There's a minute 28 left in this double overtime.
And it's very reasonable to expect a third overtime.
I think we could. Purdue makes it a two-point game, 81-79, minute 28 left. Each team with one timeout left, so not a lot of time stoppage will happen unless there's fouls and stuff. So, yeah, it's getting pretty intense. This is just day one. The same number of games, 16 games tomorrow, and then of course it goes down to 8 Saturday, 8 Sunday, I guess, because you'd cut that in half. So yeah, it's going to be crazy. It's really going to be crazy. Little Rock made a nice fadeaway shot just now, 83-79, under a minute left. Purdue's going to have to hurry to try to score, try to get fouled.
Purdue's going to have to get a couple lucky shots like Little Rock got to send it to overtime in the first place.
Yeah.
Very entertaining day of games. As you said, there are a lot of teams who are up decently at halftime ended up losing.
Yeah, almost all of them.
Yeah, like whoever was winning it. And I think I read there had only been one time Duke was losing at halftime.
Yes.
And it was when they lost to Louisville in the Final Four a couple of years ago with the Kevin Ware injury and all of that.
Yes, it was. I think their last 17 NCAA appearances,
they're all winning at halftime.
Yeah, they're all winning at halftime, and the one that they weren't, they lost. So people were freaking out then, but
because they were losing by 4 at halftime,
right?
Which it's a good. My back bracket would have been busted if Duke lost because, as usual, I have them winning.
I know. I have them going to the Elite Eight. But
I think it's reasonable for them to go. I mean, I'm not confident that they'll win because they're going with like a 6 or 7 man rotation. They've had some injuries, except with the way when I was trying to make my bracket in 15 minutes this morning, I didn't feel like going and deleting teams to make it more sense so that they wouldn't win. So I was just kind of like, this is kind of how it has to go for now.
Right.
The most interesting thing, I think we should list our Final Four teams, where we didn't have one single Final Four team that was the same. We have each have 4 different ones.
Mine is the more generic, I think more of what the majority of people had, or at least what the majority of people think. It's usually never right, but my Final Four is Kansas out of the South region, Oklahoma out of the West region, North Carolina out of the East region, and Michigan State out of the Midwest. So that's that. Purdue is down by 3, by the way, with 21 seconds left. They just missed a free throw, so they get one more, so they could make it 83-81 with 21 seconds left. It's
such a good game. Yeah, my Final Four, I have Arizona, which that's a bold pick right there because, as you said, that game against Wichita State, that could go either way.
Right. Well, I have Arizona, for instance, losing to Miami next on that would be either on Saturday.
Yeah. So I have Arizona, Indiana, Duke, and Virginia as my Final Four.
I could see Duke making it. I have Duke losing to Oklahoma in the Elite Eight, so I have Oklahoma going to the Final Four. But that one is pretty interesting. Virginia, I have them losing to Michigan State. That, I think, will happen. And coming out of the East region, I have North Carolina. I wanted to put Kentucky to beat North Carolina, but Kentucky's had some bad stretches this year. North Carolina's been pretty consistent all year, so that's why I have them beating Kentucky in the Sweet 16. The one team that I have going far is Notre Dame, and I hate them.
I have Notre Dame losing in the first round.
And I'm not a fan. But I have them advancing. I have them beating Xavier in the Sweet 16. Normally, you would think, well, Ryan, you're a Big East fan. Why don't you have Xavier defeating Notre Dame? Well, I feel like Notre Dame. I feel like it's Notre Dame's year. The head coach, Mike Bray, I think he lost his mother and his father both this season. So they've been playing for something extra this year.
Now, let's say DePaul had made it as a 16 seed. Would you have them beating a number 1?
Not a chance.
What if they were a 15?
No.
Or 14?
No. I don't think I would. There's 11 seconds left in Little Rock, Purdue, and It's 84-83 Little Rock. 11 seconds left. Little Rock will have the ball, so you can assume a foul and then 2 free throw attempts.
And you'd like to assume they'll make one of them.
Yeah.
If not, they're in trouble.
If not, then Purdue could win the game.
I mean, with the way this game's been going, they're going to make both, and then Purdue will hit a 3 to send it to triple overtime.
It's unbelievable. I'm glad we have this extra computer in here too that we can actually watch these games live as they happen. The other interesting matchup I have in the next round, in round 2, I have Maryland against California, and I have California winning that. I think a lot of people probably would choose the Big Ten team Maryland, but I have Kansas against California. And that game Saturday is going to be crazy between Kansas and UConn because UConn never dies in the tournament. So
no, they're a hard team to finish
I'm
off.
pretty sure Kansas won't score 100 like they did against Austin Peay. I'm pretty sure they'll be in a pretty tight game against UConn, but I have Kansas winning that game. But that's going to be crazy. This whole bracket is crazy.
Yeah, and this is one of the years that a lot of people's brackets will be badly busted on day one because you don't know who. It's not like a lot of years where you know who the top teams are. There are no top teams this year. One can beat anyone on any given day right now.
And a lot of low seeds are pretty good, and they really should be seeded higher, like Wichita State or Michigan, or Little Rock. I think Little Rock had a really good season this year. So I don't know. I really don't know what to expect. But tomorrow, it should be just as crazy tomorrow. And then Saturday, Sunday, and the next week, they'll have the Sweet 16s and Elite 8s. It's crazy. By this Saturday, or by this Sunday next week, we're going to know the Final Four. So it's crazy how fast it all happens with these 64 teams.
It really is something. It's always entertaining to watch, though.
Yeah. All right, before we do an update, we're going to start talking a little bit about spring training, just a little bit. The Cubs, I don't know what their record is. I know it's not good, not that it matters, but I think they're like 4-11, but they play tonight. Yeah. In fact, I think they're playing right now against Arizona.
Except the big headline right now coming out of spring training is Adam LaRoche retiring.
I know, and I don't understand that whole story. It's very strange. It's very strange. Little Rock missed 2 free throws.
You've got to be kidding
Purdue
me.
has a chance to win the game. It looked like he tripped up. That guy. No foul call on.
Is it over?
No, there's 1.3 seconds left. But I think Purdue thought there was a foul. It looked like the guy tripped up himself. So I don't know. We'll take a look at the replay here. Yeah, he tripped himself. And that's a bad play. That's a bad time to slip up right at the end. There's still time left, but Purdue was probably going to lose because they have no timeouts. So they're going to have to do a half court heave, and
which is why it would have helped Little Rock if they had made one of those 2 free throws earlier. And we saw Little Rock is 14 of 23 from the line, and that's something that will cause you to lose games.
Right. Little Rock makes the first free throw. It's 85-83 Little Rock over Purdue.
I mean, really, it doesn't mean much.
Double overtime.
All Purdue can do is, as you said, heave up a half-court or full-court shot. It's either Purdue's going to hit a 3 or they're going to lose. That's why Little Rock has to hit this second one.
Oh.
They missed.
They missed the second one, but that helped them because they just won the game. Okay, so Little Rock wins 85-83. There goes one of my Sweet 16
Wow,
teams.
I can't believe I picked that one right. I cannot believe that.
So that's the first Sweet 16 team of mine that's gone now. So,
and as you said, when we left Buffalo Wild Wings, it took us about 5 minutes to get back here to the Sports Hunt Chicago.
I think Little Rock
studios.
was down by like 10 or something.
They were down by like 10 or 12 when we left. I remember I wasn't happy. We come back, and then all of a sudden they're down by 2.
Yep, that's the way it goes sometimes. I don't know how, but that's the way it happened. Unbelievable. All right, so let's talk about Adam LaRoche as a very strange development in that.
It turns out that Chris Sale and a bunch of players started ranting at Kenny Williams. Chris Sale dropped many explicitives. towards Kenny Williams regarding the Adam LaRoche and Drake LaRoche thing. I mean, I really don't get. I mean, I understand both sides, except why is Adam LaRoche making such a big deal about that Kenny Williams just asked him not to bring his son every day? Like, doesn't he have school?
I believe he's homeschooled.
Oh, okay.
I believe they're homeschooled, but they're kind of weird altogether. I mean, the LaRoches are kind of weird. They homeschool their kids. They sort of live, in the middle of nowhere during the off season, and they kind of rough it. So they don't really have a whole lot. I don't really know what to think about it. I understand both sides though, like you do. I understand both sides. It's just
yeah, I understand.
I can't
both
believe
sides.
the White Sox allowed that last year.
Did you hear that the White Sox were almost that the players were trying to boycott a spring training game?
Yeah, I know. I don't get that. I thought they wanted him gone, and now they're like supporting him, and they were boycotting a game. It's just spring training. It's really not that important. I don't know. I think it's very weird. It really shows the character of. Well, first of all, Robin Ventura probably lets his players do whatever the hell they want.
Well, he's the one that convinced them to not boycott it.
Yeah, but he doesn't seem like the type that would come up to Adam LaRoche and say, "Hey,
No,
your
Kenny
son
Williams
can't be in
said
here."
that he was the one that had a problem with it.
Right.
And then you find out that there was a clause in LaRoche's contract, and that's the only reason he signed with the White Sox is because they said that Adam could bring his son in the clubhouse every day.
I mean, how do you think that's okay? You're the only player in baseball that's able to do that, and like he doesn't think it's a problem. Like that's like special privilege, and like he.
Like, I mean, I get if you bring him in some of the time, except at the same time, he shouldn't be in the locker room with all these grown men who are changing and getting out of the shower.
Right, he's only 14. I mean, there could be some stuff said in there that you probably wouldn't want your son to hear necessarily.
Right, and another thing, like if you lose a game, like last year when they were losing, they lost to Oakland and they had Alexi Ramirez and Leury Garcia pitch and they lost like 18-4 or something. Like you don't want your son in a clubhouse after that kind of game.
No.
Like, could you imagine the car, especially when Adam LaRoche hit only 207 with 12 home runs? Like, how do you talk to your son on the way home other than saying, "Yeah, I suck"?
I guess the Washington Nationals, I guess,
and the Atlanta Braves allowed it.
I guess they allowed it.
And the thing is, I didn't even know about that. I don't even think anyone knew that Adam.
No
LaRoche,
one knew until
I don't think anyone knew Adam LaRoche brought his son to the clubhouse every day until this incident. And it turns out Kenny Williams was the one that had the problem with it. It wasn't Ventura or Hahn or the players. It was Kenny Williams.
I think what it was the new players weren't used to it, and they went up to to management and was like, "Hey, what's going on here? How come Adam LaRoche's son is able to be in here all the time? We're not really used to this unprofessionalism." That's what Todd Frazier and Brett Lawrie said.
And probably Matt Latos, except another thing you have to look at it is Adam LaRoche, really, he's bringing his son to work. Does your dad bring you to work every day?
Nope.
My dad doesn't bring me to work every day. In fact, I never go to work.
Right, and when I'm 14, I wouldn't want to go. I'd want to, hang out with my friends or whatever, but I guess he's homeschooled, so, who knows how many friends he has. Probably not too many. I guess he's friends with all the animals in the woods. I don't know, but it's just strange.
It really is, because when you think about it like that, it's like, he's bringing his son to work every day. I understand Kenny's position. Like, can you just not bring him every day? Can you just bring him a lot of the time? Maybe. And then Adam LaRoche.
He shouldn't even be there a lot of time. He should be there once in a while, like all the other kids.
Yeah, or maybe come on a road trip during the summer.
Sure.
It really is kind of a strange thing, in the fact that he just left $13 million on the table.
Right.
Like, if you're Adam LaRoche's kid, like, you'd want to be like, okay, Dad, come on. You just left $13 million on the table.
There's something going on there that we're not understanding.
There's probably something that has not been reported, because, like, why would he just leave $13 million on the table?
I find it hard to believe. I understand that you care about your family more than you do about the game. Everyone does, but it's not like your dad can just quit his job. It's not like my dad can just quit his job.
Yeah.
Just because his son can't go to work with him. I mean, Jesus. Adam LaRoche is acting like a baby when it comes to
I
this.
just can't believe he left.
And he's bringing up his kids the same way.
And I can't believe that he left $13 million on the table. He pretty much just taught his kid, hey,